It was Christmas Eve, and families were planning their holiday activities. Some were watching football, and others were rushing to the grocery store, just like 25-year-old Susan Lund. She was heading out of the apartment, needing to grab a pie for Christmas dinner. But that would be the last time her family ever saw her again. When Susan left the apartment complex, the store she was heading to was at least a mile away. Some reports I've read actually say that they believe it was miles away, and Susan didn't have a car, so she was on foot when she left her apartment. If you've never been to Clarksville in the wintertime, they do tend to get a good amount of snow, and back in 1992, temperatures would sometimes dip below freezing. It's said that the grocery store was supposedly closed for the holidays, as many stores close early on Christmas Eve, but Susan may have not remembered this. Now, too much time had passed when Susan's husband, Paul Lund, a soldier stationed at Fort Campbell, started to get worried when Susan hadn't returned home, especially since Susan was also pregnant at the time. So nobody knows if she actually made it to the store or not. And of course, back then we didn't have CCTV footage of that area, and police didn't have any witnesses either. It was also noted that sometime before Susan left, she had told her sister she had everything she needed for dinner. So this trip out to get a pie was a last-minute thing. She also didn't have a phone, and it was said that she needed to make a call to her sister at the store using the payphone, a call that her sister never got. Paul, their 3 children, and the rest of Susan's family were eager to figure out where she went, and they spent countless hours, days, and weeks searching for her in and around Clarksville. They searched high and low for Susan. Rewards were posted, and police were asking anyone with information at all to come forward. When they failed to generate any new leads, Susan's case would soon grow cold. 2 girls were playing and exploring along a rural road in the Wayne Fitzgerald State Park in Ina, Illinois. They became distracted by the swarming of flies around some brush. Looking closer, they found what they knew was a human head. A female human head, dangling from a bush. The police arrived quickly and searched in the localized area for the rest of the remains, but they couldn't be located. An examination of the head showed that the victim was a female, was thought to be between 35 and 55 years old, that the head was cut clean off, and was cut by someone with great force and a very sharp weapon, as the head seemed to be decapitated in one quick motion. Most of the facial tissue was still attached. They predicted she had died within the last 2 weeks of being found, and they noted no signs of hemorrhaging around the wound, meaning she was deceased before she was decapitated. The medical examiner also found that this victim suffered from a condition called wry neck, or torticollis. This is when an individual is born with contracting cervical muscles, when the muscles in the neck twist in a direction that makes the head look lopsided. A short time after the head was discovered, on March 6th, there was an employee of the Big Wheeler truck stop who was notified by a trucker that there was an eerie message written on the men's bathroom wall. Now, this truck stop is within miles from where the head was found. And the message said, "Serial killer, March 1993, 19 and counting, 5 men, 12 women, 2 children, 8 black, 8 white, 3 Hispanic. Don't worry, I'll get to the others." Police found that the bathrooms were actually cleaned daily, so it was determined that the message was written either March 5th or 6th of 1993. Now, the month before, in February of 1993, there was a man by the name of Grayson King who was being incarcerated in Monahas, Texas, and he admitted to his cellmate that he had killed a female, chopped her into pieces, and threw her in places where he hoped she wouldn't be found. Grayson was also known to be in Illinois and in Indiana from time to time. They suspected that he may have had something to do with it, but eventually he was taken off their list due to a lack of evidence. In the meantime, they struggled to put a name to this head. They didn't have anyone in their local missing persons database that matched this woman, so they thought they would create a sketch using the facial features of the victim. And this is what they came up with. And they released this too. This photo generated a lot more backlash than anything else, and it also failed to generate any new leads. On July 15th, 1993, the Tennessean reported that Clarksville police believed Susan was alive and well in Alabama, leading them to close her case. Captain Doug Pechtel revealed that investigators had searched a small town in Alabama, assuming Susan had settled there, and expressed 80% certainty about her presence in the area, despite not ever making contact with her. With so very little evidence, a nameless victim, and with so many missing people nationwide, the case of Ina Jane Doe grew cold and stayed frozen for the next 29 years. Sadly, Paul Lund, Susan's husband, passed away on February 2, 2020, before he could locate his wife. Before his death, there were rumors about him being abusive towards Susan, but those claims were ultimately proven false. A year later, in 2021, Dr. Amy Michael, a professor at the University of New Hampshire with knowledge of the Ina Jane Doe case, was thrilled when the Jefferson County Sheriff's Department welcomed her help in identifying the victim. Their first move was to create a DNA profile, which led them to send a skull sample to Astra Forensic Labs. Once they got the profile back, it was clear that identification was just around the corner. Thanks to advancements in genetic genealogy, Dr. Michael was able to match the profile with Susan's sister's DNA. And on March 6, 2022, Ina Jane Doe was finally identified as Susan Lund. Going back to when they found the head and did their examination, they predicted based on decomp that she died within days of being found. So she disappears on December 24th, and she's not killed until at least January 24th. Her remains were found about 175 miles from Clarksville, and sometime in early January, police had received calls that Susan was also spotted in Louisville, Kentucky, which is about 180 miles from Clarksville and 188 miles from Ina, Illinois. So if that was actually her, what was she doing if she wasn't being held against her will or hitchhiking? Now, police also noted that the head looked like it was tossed into a bush instead of being set down or placed in a specific area or position. It was as if someone was driving down this road and just tossed the head out of the window. There have been a few people and parts of people found within this region of where Susan went missing and where she was found, and it covers about 750 square miles. Some of these victims have never been identified, and all of them still seek justice for their murders. To this day, the rest of Susan has never been found. We have 0 leads, 0 arrests, and 0 suspects in her case. And I've also linked the full police report and medical examiner reports below. A very awesome lady was kind enough to leave a Google Drive link to it. So you'll go to the Websleuths site, you'll scroll down, and you'll find it there in the comments section. So like I've said in many of my other videos, if you could, please share this video to maintain awareness about these victims' cases. When you've lost a loved one, answers can never come too late. So if you have any information in relation to the murder of Susan Lund, please reach out to the Clarksville-Montgomery County Crime Stoppers tip line at 931-645-8477 or contact Detective Captain Bobby Wallace at the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office by calling 618-244-8004 or via email at bwallace@jeffil.us. Thank you so much for watching today's episode. As always, your subs and love are greatly appreciated. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you at the next one.